And welcome back to Unpopular Opinion. Hope you guys enjoyed the interview. We want to thank Matthew Lyle again for coming on the show, taking his time out of his busy day to come chat some sport with us. But I ain't done with you. I
can't believe you put Odell above Julio. Who's your number two?
I got Odell, Antonio Brown 2, DeAndre Hopkins number 3. Yeah, then I got
Hopkins at number 3.
DeAndre at number 3, Julio at number 4, and Michael Thomas at 5.
For me, I put Tyreek Hill at number 5.
He's nice. I don't know if I can put him there yet.
Tyreek Hill has more value than all those receivers on the list, only because he can line up anywhere and his speed is unmatched. This guy has 87 receptions for 1,479 yards and 12 TDs. His speed is unmatched. His
but he hasn't done it. He hasn't done it long enough for me. He's probably in the top 5 receivers of this year. Yeah, but when I'm thinking of best receivers in the league, I'm thinking not necessarily longevity, but you have to have done it for a while. How we talked about what Julio has done, how we talked about what Odell has done, and then Tony. We already know this guy 100 catch every single season. I don't think Tyreek Hill has done it enough, and we seen that when Jalen Ramsey was talking about it earlier in the year, where people was talking about Tyreek Hill, and he said, "Let's get it clear." He made the Pro Bowl as a return specialist last year. He hasn't done it consistently yet as a receiver. In order for me to say he's one of the best in the league, because this could fall off.
It could fall off, and that's what happens with the smaller guys. They get banged up.
Yeah.
And their speed it declines as they get older as well. So, but I do believe Tyreek Hill is still one of the top 5 receivers in the game. If you look at his numbers and you look at his play, it's unmatched by any receiver on this list.
I definitely agree. The pressure that Tyreek Hill can put on your defense it's incredible. When you think about it, especially nowadays in a passing league where all the rules are geared towards the offense, where you can barely even touch the receiver anymore, and Andy Reid and the offensive coordinator over there, I can't say his name. It's pretty tough, but I think his first name is Eric, starts with a B. But anyway, they do a good job at putting Tyreek Hill in favorable matchups, which is another reason why I can't put him as the best in the league. You're doing good at what you do. I get it. But can Tyreek Hill play on the line of scrimmage like a Julio Jones, like a Odell Beckham, like an Antonio Brown, like a DeAndre Hopkins, like a Michael Thomas? I don't think, or AJ Green, I don't think he can.
He's a different type of receiver, though. He's more of a slot receiver.
My point. And it's easier to get those numbers because guys can't get their hand on you and press you. How would he do in press coverage? They don't put him in those situations. Yeah.
But, that slot receiver is a key thing in this game.
Not
everyone can play the slot.
It's dangerous.
Not everyone can play the slot. Look at John Ross. When we think about speed, we think about John Ross. John Ross isn't, we had high hopes for John Ross.
Yeah.
Playing in the slot has not matched up to what Tyreek Hill has done in the slot.
That's true. I will give you that everybody can't do it just because you fast and they can play you off the line of scrimmage and you can't get pressed. That is a very good point. Everybody can't do it. But I'm just saying, as a receiver, and I play receiver, this is my position that I love to break down the most because it's the position that I really understand the most. And I know there's a difference of a guy that can't play on the line of scrimmage. Now, I'm not saying he can't play. I'm just saying that they don't put him there for a reason. It's almost like Steph Curry. It's probably not that Steph Curry can't play defense, but they don't put him on the best. Yeah, they don't put him on the best point guards for a reason because he's. So that's what I'm saying. Tyreek Hill is amazing, though, man. I mean, what this guy can do, at his height, at his weight, it's incredible. But another thing on that, do you think Tyreek Hill can go be a number 1 receiver like these guys? Because it was easy when you was playing with Kelsey and Hunt and you got everybody else. Do you think he can go to a, let's say who needs a number one receiver? Let's say a 49ers team. We'll give him a good quarterback with Jimmy G. You think he can go do the same thing over there?
No, he's not going to do the same thing over there with the Niners. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I don't think anyone go to the Niners and fulfill that number one receiver role right now.
Well, he'll have a little help. He got Kittle there. Them tight ends they have there is good. So, he won't be alone. I just don't think Tyreek Hill can do it all by himself. But, back to this Julio Jones, because I
see it's really irking you.
Yeah, it is, because everybody say that Julio Jones is the best. And I get it, man. This guy is 6'5", 220, 230 pounds, runs a 4.3, catch radius, unbelievable. He got all the measurables. I just think he lacks, as to quote my boy Skip, he lacks the intangibles. I don't think he has the intangibles that, he could catch 100 some catches a year. That's pretty easy for you when you're getting, 140 targets. I get it. You're more than likely gonna catch that many balls. But I'm just saying, when it's money time, when it's crunch time, you cannot depend on Julio Jones. It happened last season in the playoffs against Philly. Just catch the ball on a guy that's 4 inches shorter than you, and you win the game, and who knows, you're going to play the Minnesota Vikings with a possible berth to go back to the Super Bowl rather than being at home because Julio Jones drops passes.
So that's
all I'm saying.
If we took Odell and put him on the Falcons with Matt Ryan and took Julio and put him on the Giants with Eli, do you think their numbers would still be the same? Or would Odell have more touchdowns and more,
Odell would definitely have more touchdowns, because I think Odell is more dynamic. He just needs to get the ball in his hands. When this guy gets the ball in his hands, he is very underrated. That 4.4 speed really, really shows off. He's not showing any effect of that broken ankle. If you watch Odell this year, the problem was Eli couldn't get him the ball. Eli didn't. He couldn't push the ball down the field, which is the reason why Saquon had 90-some, 80-some catches this year, because Eli was like, oh, I can't throw the ball there. Let's just check it down to Saquon. So if you give Odell Matt Ryan with Calvin Ridley, Mohamed Sanu, Hooper, oh man, listen.
So
playing in a dome, playing in a dome instead of playing outside in New York, man, please.
So what I'm hearing is the team makes the receiver.
No. The team don't make the receiver, but when you have, who would you rather have throwing you the ball? Matt Ryan or Eli Manning?
Eli.
Yeah, I mean,
even I don't believe that, but definitely Matty Ice all day.
Yeah, I mean, now DeAndre Hopkins is the exception, which is the reson why he cracks my top 3. Because who has this guy have throwing him the ball? Brock Osweiler, Case Keenum,
what's the other boy name?
They done had so many
quarterbacks. Many horrible quarterbacks.
Yeah, some of the worst of the worst. The guy that's backing up, that used to back up Brady, Brian Hoyer. Yeah, this guy's had
like John Wayne or something. I don't know. Just
these guys are Savage. Tom Savage.
There you go.
Yeah,
Tom
Savage.
Savage.
Lord have mercy, man. Like this guy has had a bunch of nobodies throwing him the football, and to be able to do what he has done, I think he had no choice but to crack my top 3. And I've been saying this all year, so this is just not right now. I've said this before earlier in the year that this guy is the top 3 receiver in the league. Julio is going to have to show me something, but that's okay, Julio. Top 4, there's no shame in that, man. There's no shame in that. I could also throw Keenan Allen in there.
Oh yeah, Keenan Allen. He's definitely a baller. But
had he not got
Michael
hurt.
Thomas is your number 5?
Yeah, Michael Thomas is my number 5.
But that's only because he has Drew. I bet you could take Michael Thomas and put him on. Let's put him on the Giants team, and he will not produce the same way Odell is producing. It's only because Drew Brees is throwing him the ball.
I don't know if I believe that though.
I believe it wholeheartedly. I don't believe Michael Thomas is like one of those game changing players. I believe he can catch the ball when it's thrown accurately by Drew Brees.
Well,
but
his
if you
catch
get a
rate
guy like Eli Manning
is
throwing
nice.
him the ball,
And if you look at the amount of targets he had to catches, it was unbelievable. At one point, this guy was at a 90% catch thing, as far as targets to receptions. That's not easy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why it goes back to, I believe your quarterback makes you who you are as a receiver. Because we
For
can
sure.
easily get Julio Jones
For sure.
and pin him on the Cleveland Browns.
Hey, don't try my Browns like that, though.
You see Landry.
Don't try my.
I like Landry.
Hey,
he was a top receiver in my book a year ago.
Hey, don't do my Browns like that, bro.
I'm just saying though.
We won 7 games, and Baker was the man this year. But I definitely agree with you. Who you have at quarterback definitely, will bolster that up. Imagine DeAndre Hopkins playing with Big Ben.
Oh,
could we be saying that he's the best?
Decline, I still think his numbers would be insane.
Yeah. Will we be saying DeAndre Hopkins is the best receiver in the league? Imagine DeAndre Hopkins playing with Matt Ryan. Or even an Eli Manning to that effect when Odell first came in. Eli still had some juice left in him. So imagine him playing with an Eli rather than Tom Savage and Brock Osweiler and Brian Hoyer and whoever else that they didn't have. We probably could be talking about DeAndre Hopkins as the best receiver in the NFL.
Exactly. That's what I wanted to get at.
Yeah,
quarterback position
really
makes that receiver.
True. I definitely agree with that. Definitely agree. Look at Kevin Benjamin. He ain't had 1,000 yards since he was playing with Cam.
Exactly. And now he's getting traded all over.
Yeah, he's getting traded all over the place.
His career's about over now.
Yeah, he's done for. So UCF yesterday, they came into that game against LSU boasting a 25 game win streak. That dates back obviously to last year. They lost the game 40-32. If you watch this game, it really wasn't even close, honestly. It started out kind of close. It never really felt like anything to me. LSU started pulling away. And the part about this, I had people on my Facebook, they saying that they should have let UCF in, being undefeated. And I get it. They beat Auburn last year in the Peach Bowl. So, and then you go undefeated this year, you would think that you would get in. But you played an LSU team yesterday that was playing without 3 or 4 of their top players because they was getting ready for the NFL draft, and you still couldn't beat them. So I think UCF, if you really want to be in that national conversation talking about getting into the playoffs, you have to schedule better opponents. You can't be playing people. Now, I get it. You in the American Athletic Conference, you do your thing. You have to play your conference the way you play your conference. But your non-conference schedule, Pittsburgh was your best non-conference schedule. I just watched them at the Sun Bowl on New Year's Eve. They're not that impressive. I watched them all over during the year. They're not that impressive. You're going to have to schedule some non-conference opponents in order to be considered in that top conversations getting to the college football playoffs. What's your thoughts on that, man?
So the UCF loss, they got up quick. They went up 14-3. They got up quick, and from there, I thought we were gonna have a great game. I thought this is gonna be a good game, and then I seen the mistakes happening, and then I seen the wide open receivers on the field. I'm like, what's going on, UCF? This is not how I would see UCF playing against LSU. So it goes back to what I said earlier. If they were to beat LSU, they would have proved their point that they deserve to be in the playoffs. But the NCAA, they got it right, I think.
Yeah.
I believe they got it right this time.
Yeah.
Other than the Notre Dame, I believe they got it right.
You know what? And we can talk about Notre Dame real quick, but I was texting one of my best friends, man, one of my childhood friends I had since the 8th grade. And he he put on Facebook that they should have let them in. And I said, when they were up 14-3, I think he put that, or right before that, and I told him the talent is about to take over. That's what happened with good teams. That Auburn team that UCF played last year, that really wasn't a good team. They just had hype because it's the SEC, as most of these SEC teams do. But this LSU team wasn't really good either, but it's a step up in class from that Auburn team. And I said it, the talent is about to take over. And he said, we'll see. And LSU started slowly walking them down, as you said. Or it seemed like everybody was open. They just started walking them down. Brissett was just running over everybody. Joe Burrow probably played his best game of the season. 300, almost 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. So UCF, you're a good team. You can hang with some of these teams for a little while, but in the end, talent always is going to take over.
Talent always wins.
It always, it's going to take over at some point.
Exactly.
So, UCF, go do your thing next year.
And just like the Sugar Bowl, we didn't really talk about it too much today, but the Sugar Bowl and what I seen from that game, Georgia can say they didn't want to be there. Their players can say that, or the coaching staff can say that. But at the end of the day, it is a football game. You should go out there and you should compete and try to win. At the end of the day, no one likes to go on national TV and look foolish.
I'm glad you said that. Go ahead.
What Texas did to him was make him look foolish. They showed that Jake Fromm could not perform under pressure. They sent the blitz almost every down until the fourth quarter. In the fourth quarter, Todd
Herman said that. Todd Herman said that at halftime. When they asked him about it, he said, well, our defensive coordinator is doing a really good job bringing the blitz at him. He said that because they watch film. If you bring the pressure at from, that's what you're going to get from him. You're going to get those errant throws where he's lollipopping the ball up and throwing interceptions. You can go ahead.
And they could not compete with that. And I saw that, and I looked over the film probably about 2 or 3 times this morning, and I was like, man, Jake Fromm cannot throw under pressure. But if you look at, Georgia defense going against Texas, Georgia was sending the blitz, but the Texas quarterback, he was not having his escapability and pocket awareness.
He's an underrated quarterback, which is the reason why I said that yesterday. When we picked this game yesterday, and I said, Ehlinger, this guy can really get it done. It's not gonna be as people think. That's the reason why I watched, about 4 or 5 Texas games this year. And they're big games. I watched the West Virginia game. I watched the Oklahoma game, both Oklahoma games. I watched that first game when they lost against Maryland. And this Ehlinger kid is tough. And I said earlier in the year, he kind of reminds me of Tebow. What they do yesterday, they put the graphic up on the screen because that's their offense. Todd Herman got his thing there. He's running the football. But I'm glad you said that about Georgia. And I knew that was going to come out because it's the SEC. It always happens. That's what happens with the SEC. A few years ago, when Alabama got left out of the college football playoffs and they had to play Oklahoma and they got drugged in that game by Oklahoma, Nick Saban came out and said, well, it's because guys are looking forward to the NFL draft. They need to move that back, as if other teams don't have players that's looking to go to the NFL draft. As if he would have even said that if he had won the game. He would have never said that.
And this game is taken into account when it comes to the NFL draft. Scouts are still scouting the talent. They're still looking at what players are doing on and off the field. So for them to come out and say some nonsense like that is just completely
it's the SEC, but that's the SEC, and that's why I don't like Nick Saban. But that's why I don't like Nick Saban too, because he and I don't like Bill Belichick because they kind of act the same. Where when they're winning, they answer all your questions. They one of the nicest people. But when they lose, it's always excuses, and then they get chippy with the reporters. I don't like that because that's what I call being a sore loser. That's how kids act when they lose. You're an adult, and I don't like that. One thing about Greg Popovich is people say, well, Greg Popovich do the same thing, and I say Greg Popovich do it whether he's winning or losing. He's the same. Yeah, he's the same way. He ain't all butthurt when you lose and you don't want to get asked any questions and nobody can ask you any questions anymore. But, Georgia last night, the SEC, if Georgia had came out last night and let's say they drugged Texas, I'm by second quarter it was already done. You know what we would have been saying today?
They should have been in Notre Dame position.
Exactly. But because they're lost, now we're gonna say, oh, they didn't really want to be there. You know, it was the champion. They wanted to be in the national title game. You know, I don't agree with that because that's reactionary thinking.
And it's still a bowl game.
Yeah, it's still a bowl game.
National championship, but you still get a trophy at the end of the bowl game.
And you had all your players there. You had all your heavy hitters. You had all of your heavy hitters. And
all the heavy hitters played like crap.
Exactly. And
when you the only one I thought they came to play.
And when you factor in all of that, you're taking away from what Texas did. So I'm guessing that pressure on Fromm meant nothing, right? Forcing him to throw interceptions, huh? I'm guessing Swift didn't fumble the ball twice, right? Mm-hmm. So let's not give any credit to Texas. Let's just say, oh, guys didn't want to be there because it wasn't for a national championship. But they can get on Twitter.
It's disrespectful.
Yeah, but they can get on Twitter.
You're taking away from a Texas big win.
Exactly.
That is a big win for Texas.
Exactly.
A team that's been struggling to get back to
first 10-win season since 2009 for Texas.
Exactly.
You know, and I hate that. But you can have guys from Georgia on Twitter, you know, talking about they said it was the best 4 teams, huh? Well, how about you go out there and show people that instead of talking? Dwayne Haskins put that on Twitter. Dwayne Haskins went out there, they handled their business, and they won the Rose Bowl. You know, what about Georgia? Did you go win the Sugar Bowl? Stop talking. Yeah, I hate the SEC, man. You know, because they're the only conference that get to make excuses. What about the ACC? Cocky. What about the Big 12? What about the Pac-12? Can they say, oh, guys really just didn't want to get up for this game? No, we only make those excuses for the SEC. And that's what I don't like. That's the part that I don't like.
Players didn't want to play to the point of Matt. Put a freshman in there.
Yeah.
Never show his talent.
Yeah, man. I hate that SEC bias in the way, you know, where they downplay losing, but they want to oversell winning. Like, no, like you don't get to do both. You know, that's not the way that we're gonna do it. So, but that's going to be it for today's show, guys. You got anything you want to take us out on, bro? Any words for tomorrow?
Be kind to one another. Love one another. Take care. I'm OgRAW. This is Unpopular Opinion.
See you guys tomorrow, bright and early.